The Burden of Memory by Roger Heap of Rillstone, 2849. Narrated by David Tredinnick. It was decades ago, and memories fade. How much was true? Who would know that all that stuff that happened so long ago could come back to haunt you? But the strongest memories are the ones at the crossroads of life. Turn left and you are somewhere else. Turn right and you are with someone else. Straight on and here you are. Her name was Nicole. She was the sister of a friend of mine and one of the prettiest girls I'd ever met. Their family owned a property near the banks of the Cudgegong River, where the water flows out of the mountains and the platypuses play. Nicole had been living in Sydney for a while, and we had met a few times. We were rather friendly. My friend was having a birthday party, and Nicole was coming home for it. Their parents had recently passed, so the family had lots to discuss. I was living in Bathurst at the time and came over to the party for the weekend. The afternoon of the party, a group of us went for a walk along the river. The weather was beautiful. There was cool running water and the sweet scent of flowers amongst the trees, but all I noticed were brown eyes and pigtails with blue ribbons blowing in the warm breeze. We shared our dreams, but we made plans with Nicole's dreams. Her part of the property included what we called the mountain. It was the highest part, a beautiful spot with great views. We had the house we would build there all worked out. It was mud brick and full of laughing children. I loved the house, but for Nicole, it was hook, line and sinker. The walk finished far too soon, and we went our separate ways to get ready for the party. We arrived at the party at different times and had lots of people to talk to. Nicole was chatting to a boy who, for all I knew, was her cousin. She grew up there. Then it came. "John, he's got platypuses in his dam. Can you do better than that?" He was not her cousin, and I had just had sand kicked in my face. A murmur of amusement rose among those who heard it. "Fair enough, then," was the only answer I got out. What else could I say? "Sure I've got lots of platypuses?" She had a choice to make. They got closer as time went on and left the party quite early. Watching them walk off together was devastating. So much for the happy family in the house on the mountain. I was a big boy and had faced rejection before. She was at her crossroad and went with Platypus Boy instead of taking the road with me. That was her choice. It just served to reinforce in me a fact I had encountered before and since, that pretty girls have too much choice. Ah well, on with the party. And it was a good party. The next morning we all decided to go for a walk up the mountain. Nicole hadn't been at breakfast and I didn't expect to see her. We had reached the top and were admiring the view over one of the most picturesque showgrounds in the country, framed by the convict-cut sandstone buildings, when she turned up. Striding towards me, shouting, John, this is my block, and I want to build that house." Things didn't seem to have gone so well with Platypus Boy. Did I have the truth of the night before? This just didn't seem right. Maybe she thought I didn't see it. The sting of the sand in my face was still strong, and it was obvious what happened. I was never going to trust this woman. With my head spinning, causing a scene around my friends and her family, I just said, "No thanks, Nicole," and walked away. She cried and kept calling after me. The sound of the woman who could have been the mother of my children, in tears, crying my name on that mountain top almost hysterically, burnt itself into my brain. But I kept walking. That's where Nicole's memory collides with the present, in a murky mash-up with another memory now also decades old. This one was the IVF doctor saying, "Sometimes it just doesn't happen," and the reality that came with it. The only glimpse of my own child would be those 4 cells under a microscope that didn't make it. All this stuff crashed together after the local school play. I've been involved in their productions for years, due to a lifetime doing technical work for amateur theatre. Working with a group of inspired young people again was fantastic, but it made me think. These children would be about the same age as my grandchildren, if nature was kinder, or the technology worked. Present events can stir up old memories, and the ones at the crossroads of life are the strongest. As for Nicole, we never saw each other again. She sold her part of the property within the family and moved interstate. Now she's just a memory of 2 kids on a mountaintop, in tears, at a crossroad where I chose to walk straight on. Where would I be now if I had turned there? Perhaps on that mountain, in a mud brick house full of laughing grandchildren. There is a burden to bear with memories. We have no choice but to carry them. Sometimes they're a pleasant load to carry, and sometimes they fade, but sometimes they bite. The end.